Howdy there, folks. Didn't see y'all sitting there. I just got done hunting some buffalo in this here America on the Great Plains. So I reckon it was due time to clean my gun, so y'all just cut me there in that act. Now, you're all probably wondering who I am. Why, my name's Jake. And you're all probably thinking, this Jake, he's just some white, fat American. And, you know what, you're totally wrong! Well, not wrong in the fact that I'm fat and white and American, but I'm more than that, folks. For I know the two individuals who got married here earlier this evening. And those two individuals blessed me enough to talk to you here tonight. And Richard and Trissy, I would just like to say it's a great honor to speak on your guys' behalf tonight. And I'd like to apologize for not being able to be there tonight, but Richard, you know more than anybody else how much I'd love to be there. And I'd just like to say right now, congratulations on that. So, as many of you have probably realized, I don't know any Chinese. Now, I know a few words like ni hao and shay shay and mao. That's pretty much it. So, Richard, tonight, you're going to have to be my translator. And your English was pretty good, but I'm kind of scared. So, we're going to have to run a quick translation test. So, Richard, I'm going to need you to repeat after me. I, Richard Chen, am secretly an ugly Chinese girl posing as a 7-foot tall giant Chinese man. I'm sorry to expose your secret, Richard, but I figured it was about time that these fine folks know it. But, all joking aside, Richard, all joking aside, I know you're not a woman, Richard. Everybody here knows you're not a woman, but we all know that you're quite opposite the woman. Now everybody's probably asking, what's the opposite of a woman? Well, folks, the answer is a man. Yes, a man. Now, me being from America and you from China, our definitions of what a man is could be slightly off. So, I prepared some examples of what some of you might be thinking a true man is. Example 1. Cowboy Richard. Yes, folks, he is rugged and he has a gun and looks like he's pretty successful with all these cattle, but I don't consider that a true man. Example 2. Guan Yu Richard. Yes, this man is quite loyal, brave as a button, and true to all his friends. But you know what? This is not a true man. Exhibit C. James Bond Richard. Yes, he knows his way around a gun and the ladies' hearts, but sadly, not a true man. And the fourth example, extremely muscular Richard. Yes, folks, we could all cook dim sum on these abs. And yes, I would like to see what's under that black loincloth. But no, sadly, even this Richard is not a true man. So you're probably all thinking, this is exactly what I'd picture a man as. This guy from America is totally blowing my mind. What is a man to him then? Well, folks, this Richard right here is a man. This is probably the manliest man I know in all the world. Now, probably 10 years ago, if you would have asked me when I was just a young lad what I wanted to be when I grew up, what kind of man I wanted to be, I would have probably said, yes, I'd like to be probably a cowboy or an astronaut or even a muscular man with the biggest package in all the world. But I can honestly say now that after meeting my best friend, Richard Chen, I would like to be like him. I would like to be like that. So, all in all, Richard, you're probably one of the greatest men I ever met. And because of this, I was like a parent thinking, my son will never meet anybody good enough for him. Nobody's good enough for Richard except me, his mother. Except I was a man, so yeah, that's kind of weird. But that's kind of what I was thinking. So, I still remember the day when somebody actually came into Richard's life who was good enough for him. I remember I was at my house and Richard came over, and when Richard got there, we both sat down, and he's sitting there, and it's like, Jake, you know that girl I've been talking to on the internet? And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I kind of remember you talking about her. So I'm like, oh yeah, I remember her. Well, Jake, she just asked me if I would like to meet her this weekend in Buffalo. And I go, Buffalo, New York? Yeah. Now I'm thinking, this is hours and hours away. So this is crazy. And I know it's all good news for Richard, but he's like, do you think I should go? Do you think I should go to Buffalo? So I lay it down for Richard. I go, well, Richard, she's either A, luring you there to kill you, or B, this girl obviously likes you and wants to have a relationship with you, so I would probably go if I was you. So Richard prepared all beforehand, probably wrote down a bunch of jokes to say to impress her, and I helped him clean his car to look all fancy for her. So the whole weekend he was there, all I could think of was like, Richard's going to fall in love with this girl, but you know what? She's not going to be good enough for him, you know? This girl is not going to be good enough for my Richard. So when Richard comes back, I'm like, so how'd it go? And he said, it was great. Like, he was supposed to leave like 5 hours sooner than he did that day. He kept purposely missing her bus so she'd have to stay longer with him. So he said they both had a great time. He said she was beautiful, funny, nice, intelligent. Pretty much anything a love-struck person would say. Totally oblivious and blind. So I kind of like, yeah, that's good, Richard. Like, don't invest too much of your time in this girl, because I was thinking, no, she's not as good as you think she is. So over the next couple months, every time I see Richard, he always has an even bigger smile on his face. Before it was like this, now it's like this. And all he can do is talk about this girl, about how he talks to her every night, how she's pretty much changing his life, how he's never had a relationship like this. So it's starting to catch on, you know what, Richard's a smart guy, he might know what he's talking about. So then came the time when I got to meet this Trissy girl for the first time. And I remember the first time I was meeting her, I'm like, okay, Jake, be nice. Don't treat her like you think she's going to be like not good enough for Richard. So the first time I see her, no offense, Richard, I see this girl, I'm thinking, she's beautiful. Like, this girl is with Richard. Now, mind you, Trissy, if I was gay, I'd be all over Richard in a heartbeat. Like a fat guy on a candy bar. But this is Richard. I'm loving you, Richard. But this is Trissy. Just total knockout gorgeous. So I'm like, okay, she's got the looks going. Now let's see how she is as a person. So the first sentence that comes out of her mouth, just the most beautiful voice I've ever heard. Trissy, you have the most pleasant voice I've ever heard. It's like a voice that when you hear it, you just feel calm and comforted, and you just want to go to sleep because you feel so nice and secure. So I'm like, okay, this girl's got that going for her. Then I got to know her too. Just like Richard, she was funny. She had goals. She was extremely personable, you know, extremely nice to me. She was really open about herself, and I knew from the first 10 minutes I met her that I'm like, unbelievably, Richard somehow met a girl as good as he is. Something that should be impossible in a world like this with all the people I know. None of them even equal Richard. So what are the chances that somebody as good as Richard would meet him? Like, it's impossible. It's impossible that would happen. But it did. Now, like I was saying before, Richard is one of the greatest men I've ever known. And great men make great husbands. So there's not a doubt in my mind, because I know that Richard loves Trissy even more than himself, that he will make all the right decisions. He will do what's best for you and your family, Trissy, and he will love you till the end of your days. So I'm not worried at all about you two, and I know you guys are going to have a great life together. And I would just like to say again, it's been an honor speaking for you guys tonight, but it's been an even greater honor knowing you two. And Richard, I like to think of me and you kind of like Guan Yu and Zhang Fei from the Chinese novel The Romance of the Three Kingdoms. And like them, we weren't originally brothers, but we swore an oath to be brothers. But unlike them, who swore the oath that they'd die on the same day, month, and year together, we swore an oath together to live for all eternity in heaven. Now, I would just like to say that is the greatest honor I could ever have. Now, I would like to raise my glass as a toast to these two great people. May God continue to bless you, and may all the friends and family here continue to bless you today and every day for the rest of your lives. And may we be there with you through the good times and the bad. And I also pray that everybody here will have the chance to find a love as true and eternal as Richard's and Trissy's is. So here's to the couple. Richard, I'd just like to say, have a good time on your wedding night tonight, bud.